Welcome back to the shop. Today we're back on Fun Destruct and I'm going to show you how to determine the proper locations for the front and rear leaf springs. Remember, a leaf spring is curved and as it flattens out it gets longer. So you got a problem if you don't put your mounts in the right spot because something will break. And you don't want it too far out either because then that's a problem. So we're going to run through that today and we're going to take you through what I'm building here for the rear spring mounts on this truck that I'm building for my wife, 39 Dodge pickup. Stick around. I'm Mike. You're watching My Car Shop. Doing a build like this, sometimes the maths and sometimes the math doesn't math because in the real world, things aren't perfect. And I want to kind of go through that. I'm not going to take you all through the trig to calculate all of this, but I did do it. And then there's another cheap and dirty formula that also doesn't come out, and I can tell why. But the point is that I want to know that this spring mount is in the right spot here and in the right spot there. So when the spring flattens out, as I said, it doesn't rip the mount off the back or rip the, if this rips off, we got big problems. But normally it would be ripping the rear mount out of the car, and that's a problem. So what I did was I measured spring eye to spring eye just straight across without taking in the arch into account, and it's 53 inches from here to there. So that's our arced, if you will, height of the spring. Um, it has about a 4-inch arc to it, but with especially with Mopar springs, they're not really arced much in the front. They're only in the back. So if you think about the spring is like this, the front half of the spring doesn't actually spring on a Mopar. It's pretty stiff, a little bit, but not much. And then from the axle back is where the majority of the curve is. Okay, so to do the trig, it considers a perfect arc, and that doesn't work because it's not a perfect arc. Okay, so what I did, when I went through the numbers, it came out at 53 and 3/4 of an inch, which is way wrong. So what I did was I took this strap, okay, and I laid it out here on the leaf spring, eye to eye. Okay, then I took it and I laid it out here and I measured it, and it's 55 inches. That's the magic number. That's so. With I can't find my cloth tape, but this works just as well if you don't have one. The shop is a disaster area right now. But anyway, so I laid that out on the spring from eye to eye here, and then I took it here and I clamped it down and I measured it, and it's 55 inches. So that tells me that in order for this to work properly on the car, this needs to be 55 inches from the upper shackle mount to the spring eye here. That's just basic engineering for leaf springs on a Mopar, okay? I know that number's right. Do you know how I know that number's right? Drum roll, because I measured it on that car. The reason I'm taking you through this is because you don't have to have a car to measure. It just helps. Okay. So this is a little bit wonky because I had an issue when I did this last night, but it's not bolted down anyway. So from here to here is 55 inches. From here to here is 53 inches. But when we go along the leaf spring with our strap or our tape and go center to center, it's 55 inches. And that gives us 2 inches of nice travel back here on our shackle. So because as the spring compresses, the shackle goes up and down. That was my concern. Having the car gave me the double check that I needed, but I went through and I did this anyway just to be 100% sure that it's right. So let me take you through what I've done here so far. So I think I've shared some of this before, but for those who haven't seen it, I got this rear cross member, which is quarter wall 2x3 box tube, same as the frame, bolted on there. I want a nice stout thing because we're going to have a bumper back here, all kinds of other stuff coming off of that. It's also, the box is going to extend beyond that some, but and then that this isn't in exactly the right spot. It needs to come out a little bit, but again, that needs to be mounted on there, so it will be bolted on. We'll drill it through, put nuts on the inside, Maybe we'll just weld the nuts in. I don't know how we're going to do it yet. And then I made this. This is a 10-inch by 5-inch plate. And I've already got it drilled in a couple spots here. Okay, I've got to drill the upper ones yet. But I just wanted to get it mounted on there. And I've got it clamped to the frame here. This is my point here that I knew it needed to be, where the front of the spring plate needed to be on this. So, and then this was where I determined the axle center was going to be, but we are actually an inch back. So instead of being 116-inch wheelbase, it's 117, I believe. I need to double check that between. Would you guys move? These guys are being annoying today. Anyway, from that center to this center, I want to double check that. So let's do that right now and be sure that we're minimum 116, because that's what the wheelbase is on a half-ton 39 Dodge truck. Okay, so I'm going to just grab this on here. Might going to be off just by a Nova, but not by much. And we'll run her back. Holy crap, we are at 116 inches. Okay. That surprises me. It's actually at 115 and a half. Oh, I did move it forward. That's right. I think it's going to stay there. I don't really want to move this back anymore and move the axle back. Oh, yeah, the other thing I got to think about. This is free hung right now. When this comes up, is that going to change the axle center line? See, I'm not going to use a factory box, so I don't really care if it's off a little bit. Originally, it was going to be at 117, but once I've done the mounts, it changed things a little bit. So I need to think this through as the spring compresses. What's going to happen to the rear end? Is it going to just stay going up vertical, or is it going to shift back a little bit? Not that I really care. I'm just curious more than anything. 115 and 7/8. The front wheel was turned. Duh. We're fine. Got to pay attention to that stuff. But, even if I was 115 and a half, close enough. So, I really don't want to be moving this around. I could move this back a little bit, but then that's going to potentially screw up my thing back here. I really prefer this to be in as much of a factory location as I can. We've confirmed from measuring on the car, using my experience, knowing by measuring the arc of the spring, etc., etc. We're good there. I'm good with that. Like I said, I'm going to custom build the box anyway, so if I need to tweak the fender just a little bit, it ain't going to matter. So it'll be good. Okay, so now what I want to do is I need to tweak this, and I need to do some bracing and some discussion here with you guys about what I'm going to be doing on this front mount, because right now as this stands, besides the fact that it's clamped on here, it's not strong enough to handle. So let's talk about the loads on here and how we're going to support this so the loads don't bend this. Yeah, also just realized it is back some because this plate is crooked, so we're fine. Yeah, it was late last night when I quit, and I'm really tired today. So we'll get this bent in place in a minute. But here's what I want to talk about. So the bulk of the load on this is going to be vertical. Okay, as this truck goes down the road and is bouncing and it's got weight on it, it's going to be vertical. There's going to be some this way because of braking and accelerating and so forth. There's not going to be much this way unless we're doing burnouts in reverse. Okay, so I don't think we're going to be doing reverse hole shots a whole lot. I don't think we'll be doing any. She better not be. We're only looking at a 200 horse motor here, so nothing great. A 270 gear. So we're not talking a race truck. We're building this for gas mileage. 318 2-barrel 904 automatic with a 270 gear. That's it. And I do need to double check that gear ratio, but it is going to be what it is. But we do want to get some gas mileage out of it. So anyway, so I know that I need to brace it. My thinking is a 45-degree brace, like back here, like this, that goes under the frame and down to this, like so. Okay. And then I'm thinking a piece of angle out here, or a piece of flat stock or something to box this some more. We want to be able to access this. I actually have another piece of this that I could cut off of like this piece and just put it on there. I may do that. I'm not sure yet. Um, it's a lot of cutting, but with new bandsaw, stuff cuts great, so not a big deal. This plate is a little bit bent, but that was me last night horsing on it. So I know I need to brace this because I put the big crescent wrench on there and I bent it. The other thing that I'm thinking, and I've got it, this is part of what we're about today. With this on here like this, okay, 45 degree, let's say, so about like that. Oh yeah, easily. Okay. I'm thinking we're going to put a cross member between these two spring plates. Okay, so another piece of 2x3 box. Find one here that's not 10 million pounds. Give me a sec. So yeah, this on here, okay, and then a piece of this in here, except it won't fit. Dang it. Okay, I was hoping it would. But we could go in here against this and weld to that, and that would still give it tremendous amounts of support. That's probably what we'll do. Um, then we may have to make a little hoop in it for the drive shaft. I'm not sure. But that will really take care of the third issue on here, which is because this is 10 inches down, there is going to be some of this on the frame. Okay, because even though it's vertical and we don't have much cross member support yet. Ultimately, my goal is to put an X member in here somewhere. I don't know if I can do that or not because there's so many complex things that need to happen. Um, but if I can get a piece of box tube, I would much rather, and I still may change my mind. Um, it's not much, so I could notch this down like this, okay, and take out like a half an inch so that it comes under the frame. That's probably what we'll do. Um, and that will put it right on this plate here and give it tremendous strength. So I'm over engineering. I know I am. But if we have a piece in here that's 45, one going across, and a piece of probably this on here, this edge here on there. Matter of fact, I may just cut that right down that. Just leave that curve on there and then weld it um, onto here. So that may be the way to do it. So yeah, I think that's good. The back is going to be pretty straightforward. It's just going to be bolted right to that box tube there. So let's get a couple things cut up here and try to get this fit together so you can kind of get a picture. I also want to straighten this so it's not crooked and double check my axle measurement. We're over 116. I can see this is back probably 3/4 of an inch. So it's a job. I got to loosen that, move this. It's just going to take me a minute. No, I won't bore you with that. Okay, so that's got that square now. That's pretty close back there. So I want to check my dimension here again and see where we're at. So let's do that. Make sure that our wheel's straight. I know you can't see me, sorry. $114. Something is weird. Give me a minute. So I have a couple of options. First of all, my wheel up there was bent, so I put my level against it and measured it to the frame front and back, so it's straight now. That axle, that end of it was off, so that was throwing things out. So I got that in its proper location. I'm at 115 right now, so I got a couple of options. I need to think this through. I can change my rear mount. I'm really not comfortable just moving that back because then instead of my rear spring shackle being close to straight, right now it's forward, okay? And then under load, it's going to be closer to straight, which gives it room to do this a little bit, okay? If I make it straight now, then it's going to be even further back, and I'm not comfortable with that. Do I know I have a lot more there? Yeah, I do. Could I fudge it? Yes. Do I want to? No, I don't. The other thing I can do And I've done this on cars before when I put larger tires on that won't clear the front of the wheel well. Rather than cutting the wheel well, I just simply move the rear end back one notch on the pin. So on the spring plate, there's 3 holes, okay? And normally it's in the center hole. And this is very acceptable practice. I just back 1.5 inches into the front hole, which is what I did here. I'm at 116.5 right now. I could leave it like that. I may leave it like that. I may redesign my rear spring mount. I'd rather move the rear end back on the spring. I've actually got a car here that's done on, just like it's been that way for 25 years. Okay, so it's a very acceptable thing to do. The only thing you have to do is when you do your spring plate here, you have to machine the hole for the pin to go in a different spot on the plate. So no big deal. This is hot rodding, right? So we're just making it safe. We're making it done, and we're having fun. I'm going to put that on hold right now. I have plenty of time to think about that. I still need to get the mounts done on the other side. So I want to pick up with what I said I was going to do while I'm cogitating on that. I really don't want to shorten the wheelbase anymore. I'd rather it was a little on the long side than being shorter than factory. So I could maybe fudge it a little bit, leave this here. You know what? I got to find my quick square because I think this is too far forward. It looked right, but now that I'm sitting here, it may be an optical illusion, but that may be part of our problem. So hold on. I had it last night. This place is a disaster. It's just, the weather's been so bad, I can't get stitches out. And so it's just, I need to take time and get after that. But one step at a time. Today it's about this, so we'll get to that another time. I may do another shop organization episode because I've got some new stuff that I've been implementing that you wouldn't be able to know that right now, but I've been implementing and it doesn't. Okay, first of all, I don't know that that side is perfect, so I'm not going to get too carried away, but I just measured and we're at 115.25. I've measured from here to the center of the upper shackle and it's off 1/4 inch, so we can come back 1/4. That will give us 255 or 155.5. And I think because we're only dealing with 1/2 inch, I'm going to go ahead and just move this back. That's still going to give me plenty of swing back there, and I don't think that's going to be a problem. So we're going to get it right at 116. I've also got it now on the suspension. So when I get some help, I'm going to put some more load on it like this and have somebody measure it or have somebody put load on it. I'll measure it and we'll see what that does. I think the further this goes down, the more it is coming back. I'm almost positive. So, all right. So that's where we're at with that. Now we're going to let that go. So let me, I was going to go ahead and use that piece and I still may, but I remembered that I had some of this and this may be just as good a way to go here. Is just put a piece of angle iron on there like so to strengthen this up some, probably like this. That may be the way to do it. Rather than cutting this piece, keep it simple. And then they don't have this other, which is a lot more strength, but I think this piece of angle iron is going to be enough. So I'm going to cut this off to the right length and we'll get that fitted. And then we'll work on getting our piece of box tube to go inside of there. We got to have a little more work to do to it, but it's good enough for now. And that's not even close. Okay, I'm going to get one more to put down here because that's a little bit on the goofy side because this is bent. Actually, I don't want to be reefing on this yet because if I start pounding on that, I'm going to knock everything out. So let me just squeeze that down into place there with another squeezer. Actually, you know what? Rather than clamping it up there, let's do this. Okay, I guess we can't do that with this type of vice grip. So let me get something different. It's always something. Okay, we're getting there. So hopefully we can get this on here now. tight. That's good. Okay, I like that. I could trim that off on the bottom if I wanted, but I don't want. Let's see why that won't work. So let me think this through some more now. Piece of 2x3. I thought I had another piece of 2x3 here, a shorter piece. Not that one, but another 1/8 inch wall. Let me find that because that would help me. You know what I'm saying? Here's what I'm thinking. If I was to put another brace on the outside, not on top, but on the outside of the frame here, that butts into here, that's going to give that tremendous strength, even if I don't have a cross member across there, which frees me up for doing an X member, which would take care of the torsional twist anyway. I definitely have done the across the frame on several cars at the front of the Leafs in this ballpark idea here, so it's nothing new. But again, I don't know how that's going to lay out yet. The torsion bars aren't going to be anywhere near back here, but we are going to have a rear transmission cross member. That better not be back this far because otherwise our drive shaft's going to be that long. That'll be a problem. No, we're fine. I hope. Where did I determine that was going to be? Okay, transmission's going to be here, so our drive shaft is going to be. It'll be a shorty, 2 to 3 feet long. That'll be fun. Yeah. So I guess I'm going to go ahead and mark this up where I want to cut this and then get that 45 cut on that side so this piece is ready to rock and roll all night and party every day. I'm assuming that's a 45. Let me check that. I've got 2. There's one. Yep, 45. I figured it would be, but you never know about these things. All right, I'm going to go cut this. I'll be right back. I like it. Now, I could go back this way if I wanted to also, but if I'm going to go across here, I don't need to. I could also come from down there and go up this way. But again, I don't think I need to. There's not much this way on this. All the force is this way and this way. So, and I've got welding surface up this side down here. So 3 inches of weld, 2 inches of weld, 3 inches of weld, brace, weld down there. We got bigger problems if that gets ripped off. And it's not going to be because it didn't hold. It's going to be because something else catastrophic happened. So I like it. So let me get you over here. Come on. And we'll give you a little closer eagle eye view of what we've got. Okay, so here's what we got. I could, if I wanted to, and I might, take and trim this more in here so that this piece here lines up, or I can fill that. I like the idea of it being a little bit more up here, so I probably won't. I'll probably just fill it. But we're going to weld around here. Of course, if I brought this in, it doesn't really give me a weld point there anyway. So, because there's places I'm not going to be able to weld down in here, But yeah, that looks pretty good, I think. And then, of course, our other piece down here. And if I want to, I can trim this off, but I don't think I'll want to. So I don't see any reason why that's not going to work. Oh, it's a pretty good engineering feat there, I think. Fun little fabrication project. Yes, I'll cap this off, I'm sure. We'll see. I'm just making it up as I go. Even if I decide not to put a cross member across there, I'm realizing that putting a piece of box tube here that comes under the frame is going to be really smart, because if I make it so that it sits on here and sits under here, then the shear is not going to be just the weld here. It's also going to be that. So That makes a lot of sense. Hopefully, like I said, we're going all the way across. But yeah, oh, it's a lot of work. Now, I want this all to come back an inch. I did make that decision. We're going to be okay like that. Um, a day's work to get all of this welded in, get that one made, get that made up there, and get those finished. And this thing can be on the ground. That's how close we are. Yeah, I don't have the frame welded yet, but um, it's crazy. It's just crazy how this thing is coming together. Yeah, when I look at the body and I realize how much work we have to do, it's almost overwhelming. But I also know if the motor is in here and that is sitting on here, it takes up a lot less shop space. It makes for motivation to get after things and work on them. So the other thing I wanted to mention, total cost in this, zip. Okay, it's all metal I've had kicking around. Some of this is part of the chassis table metal that we got. Some of this is some other stuff that probably Chris brought. I don't even know. This piece of 2x3 box tube is left over from stitches. So literally to make, I had the springs out of that 76 Valiant, this rear end. My neighbor Paulie gave me out of that 68 B body. So again, we're not putting money into it. Yes, we've got money in the front end because we have wheel bearings and rotors and tie rods and ball joints, upper and lower, control arm bushings, all that stuff. Yes, that's safety items. We're not going to scrimp on that, especially since my girl's going to be driving it. But I just need about 3 days of commitment to come out here and just blast on this thing and get it done. I'm yeah, life just keeps getting in the way, but I appreciate you guys going along for the journey. A lot of this stuff is like I spent all day, well, not all day because I got firewood yesterday, but I spent all afternoon and quite into the evening last night just sorting all of this out, cutting this bracket. I still got to cut another one. It just takes time, and I can't always make content. And I know what you would say is don't worry about turning out the videos, just get the job done. But I mean, part of this is, this is starting to become a little bit of my income. So I need to get and keep after this. But I'm just committed to doing this, and doing these videos keeps me motivated to work on the project. But I will say, and because you guys have said this to me over and over again, shut the camera off and work. And I definitely did that. I felt like I wanted to do more. I'm just starting to film for the 1st of March now. Um, but I needed to focus on going through the numbers, going through the math, doing the trig on all of this, and then finding out that it didn't work because, so I went back to the old school method of using a string. All the stuff I shared with in this video was determined yesterday so that I could share this with you today. I really hope this is beneficial to you. Is everybody going to be building something like this? No, of course not. I get that. Does it apply to other vehicles like the Challenger or the Duster? Yeah, it kind of does. Even if you're not doing the work, you understand that how it's engineered when you look at it. It changes the way you view things. So, we have the full gamut of muscle car restorers, and we have hot rod builders, and we have antique guys here, and we obviously span the globe not the globe, but to span the spectrums in all the vehicles that we do and the kind of work that we do. I mean, I have vehicles from every decade except the 50s. I'm not looking for a 50s car, but if one fell in my lap, I wouldn't kick it out. So 20s, 30s, 40s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s. That's as far as we go, and I will never own anything newer than that, ever. So um, that's a pretty safe bet. Anyway, I I like sharing the full spectrum of automotive history with you, and restoration and preservation and hot rodding and fabrication and all the stuff that I do. Um, you don't have to have any special equipment to do any of this. Yeah, I've got that wonderful bandsaw that my buddy Dave gave me. Um, mill and lathe and all that stuff. You don't have to have any of that stuff. You don't. You don't even have to have a sheet metal breaker or a shrinker. Well, shrinker stretcher. It's a whole lot easier to build frame rails if you have one, but you don't have to. Um, It's not as far as these, but the sheet metal ones on the Challenger that we made 2 years ago. It can all be done with very simple stuff. I'm obviously going to use what I have. And even then, I don't have much money into any of the equipment here. So I really am adamant about keeping it reachable for you and sharing things that maybe you've never seen before or thought of before. So, all right, I'm getting off the soapbox now. I'm going to quit. I'm going to go make myself some supper, and that'll be it. We'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for being here. Drop your comments down there. Let me know. Is this interesting? Is it educational? Is it humorous? Like, look at that moron and what he's doing. I don't know. Just drop it down there in the comments. Just be nice, please. You guys really are. I know that it's only the ashtrays that come blowing through that don't have any idea what I'm doing. So, shutting up, man. We'll catch you on the next. Oh, channel memberships for as little as $5 a month. You get access to behind the scenes stuff. I'm doing a better job of putting out member only content now, posts and videos both. All right, shutting up. Don't forget, because it's important. Wow.